We spent so many hours every single day fixing the boat because we were so excited to eventually be able to take the boat out. Welcome to the Blue Top Podcast. We are Sofia and Ariana Jewelewicz, twin sisters and co-founders of Blue Top Legend and Blue Top Yachting.
This is where we dive into all things yachting, maritime marketing, and running a business on and off of the water. From insider tips to stories that inspire, we're here to help you navigate success.
Today we're going back to where it all started, fixing up the boat that became the heart of Blue Top Legend.
From putting in new speakers to building a do-it-yourself bench seat, this was a boat that taught us really how to run hard and dream big.
You are so right. She taught us so much. It was definitely not an easy feat fixing her. The boat required a lot of work and a lot of maintenance to keep her running, which we will get into. We just didn't realize, especially since that was our very first boat, exactly how much work it would be getting a project boat and fixing her up. We truly thought that it would be a one and done thing, get the boat, put her in the water and run. Well, let me tell you, that's not how it started. Ariana, what was your very first reaction when you saw exactly how much work that boat needed?
I feel like someone would think that we would say nervous, but honestly, I was really excited, and I know that you were too, because like you said, this was our first project boat. It was really our first big project. We had done smaller projects with our dad, building who knows what with wood and all of that, but this was our first actual vehicle that we were working on because she was very broken, to put it simply. She was sitting in a yard for a long time, so we had to do fiberglass repairs, wiring repairs, engine maintenance, dock repairs, winch repairs, fix upholstery tears, fix the steering issues, the bilge pump, and of course deal with the struggles of a two-stroke engine in itself, which I'm sure, as many of you know, can be pretty difficult, especially for someone that has no boating experience, which we had none at the time. We knew that with our dad's help we would make her good as new because he luckily knows so much about boating, which definitely helped when we knew nothing. The time and memories that we made with him were truly irreplaceable.
He continues to this day to fix our boat, even with the new blue top. Every time I break it, which I just broke it last weekend, he will always be the first to say, "Don't worry, let's go out together, we can fix it together." It's not only that he wants to teach us how to do these things by ourselves, it's that we get to spend time with our dad and make every single memory. Fixing a boat isn't fun by yourself, it's just not. We have to face the facts, but the fact that we are able to do it with family and with each other truly makes Blue Top that much more incredible for us, and it gives us that much more love and respect for our platform.
Exactly, it taught us so much independence because he's never been upset when we broke the boat because he knows how often boats break on their own. And with this one, we would take her out a couple times and everything would break because of simply how old she was. So he was never upset, but it really taught us that sense of independence because he was with us every step of the way. Then he also let us do quite a few things on our own and pushed us to learn more about repairing the boat and do a few things on our own, like the wiring or replacing the engine oil. So it was really nice because it was something that brought us closer to each other and our dad. With that being said, I definitely got overwhelmed at times, and I know you did too, but looking back at the memories that we made, it's so incredible to look back on because it really did bring all of us together. And looking and seeing what it created from fixing up that 13-foot boat, it's truly amazing. It helped us learn so much about the technical aspect of boats, but also it helped us appreciate when the boat was actually working because boats do break. Inherently, they break a lot. Sophia, why would you say that it was so important that we fix the boat ourselves instead of just outsourcing everything to something like a boat repair shop or a mechanic?
Like you said, it helped us learn so much about the technical aspects of boating, which truly does help me with Blue Top Yachting to provide value for my clients. I'm not a surveyor in any way, shape, or form. I always do recommend that my clients get a survey, but being able to bring my clients to a boat that maybe I haven't had listed and maybe we're going to see another broker's boat, to be able to simply open the bilge and look at something or look at the dash and see some electronics need to be replaced. It does help and it provides that little bit of value that separates us. But also, like you said before, the memories. It was some serious father-daughter bonding time. We learned so much and we were also able to do it with family. We spent so many hours every single day fixing the boat because we were so excited to eventually be able to take the boat out. So we wanted to get it out as soon as possible. We put our heart and soul into that. Mind you, it was mostly our dad fixing the boat, but we were there. We were there for moral support. I guess he made us feel useful sometimes. He would make us hold screws while he was doing something or shine a flashlight, the typical stuff. It was overall a very big learning curve. It was our first boat. We didn't know much about repairs. We still don't really know much about repairs. We are constantly learning. Every time that we go out to fix the boat, it's generally something different. I don't know how, but every single time we learn something new about wiring or electronics or maintenance. With our old Blue Top, we learned about a two-stroke motor, which everyone knows that those can be a little bit iffy. We also learned engine maintenance and the importance of hosing the boat with fresh water, flushing the engine after each use. These are things that every boater needs to know, and without our dad, we wouldn't have known any of these things.
It was definitely nice to have the two-stroke engine, I would say, at a point, because now that we do have a four-stroke, I truly appreciate it so much more, but also having those difficulties with the two-stroke taught us so much about engines in general on a boat and also how to deal with it, because if our engine just quit, there's always something you could do to fix it, and our engine did quit quite a few times on us, but having those experiences taught us a lot of how to handle a time of adversity when we really didn't know what to do, but we worked together and were able to tackle that issue, which is obviously very important. We want our engine to work, but I really do appreciate that time with the two-stroke now that we have a four-stroke. Looking back, we learned so much.
I love that you mentioned that because also I think every boater needs to start out with a two-stroke. Those are not easy motors to run. Four strokes, it's a one and done thing. They start, they run, great, you're done. Two strokes needs you to keep up with maintenance. Sometimes you need to constantly pump the gas ball to get them to work. The primer, it's not easy running those engines. So I think every boater for their first boat needs something with a two-stroke. Preferably get a whaler, but we're not biased. It's okay. Ariana, speaking of that, do you remember the first repair that we actually tackled with our dad? What was that like?
I can't say I remember the exact part that we started with because, like I said before, that entire boat needed fixing in basically every aspect. It was a lot of general repairs, tightening screws and bolts, replacing upholstery, rewiring, but also a lot of cleaning. Lots of scrubbing and waxing. Our dad had us sit on that boat for about 4 hours cleaning it on a trailer because he wanted it to be shiny before it was out on the water. If I can guess at this, it might have been the engine that was the first repair because obviously you don't have a functioning boat without a functioning engine. And because that two-stroke was sitting in a lot for a long time, it was definitely having some issues. So we needed to go in the engine, take the top off, rewire a ton of stuff, replace the oil, everything that a two-stroke needs. But as a two-stroke, as I'm sure most of you know, it had a lot of issues to start with. But the engine was hose tested prior to purchase, so that did help. Our dad obviously knew that the importance of an engine, a functioning engine, was very critical in this time. So he did test it before purchase. Again, two-strokes are very unreliable. We did need to do a few wiring repairs, oil replacement, and overall really get down and dirty in that engine, and that taught us so much because I honestly never thought that I would need to get technical with an engine. To me, as a little girl, an engine was just an engine. It's something that makes your car or boat run. And getting down and dirty, seeing those wires, having to split the wires, having to learn how to combine two different wires, the blue and the red, it was so interesting. And I was actually really intrigued by the whole wiring thing. So that was super exciting for me to learn about.
You're right. We always thought that an engine was just an engine and if you turn the key, it'll go. So I definitely do think that it was 100% an insane thought to think about how much work actually went in, not only to the boat, but just to get the engine to run. I'd say the engine gave us the most trouble out of the entire boat. Obviously, given we put a lot of fiberglass cracks in there, but aside from that, our engine taught us a lot, especially patience. It didn't always run, that's okay. we just had to be patient, sometimes pump the primer ball, make sure that there was oil. We did get an alarm on that once. It taught us
Well,
so
twice.
much.
Yeah, we did get quite a few oil alarms, but we did make sure at a point to just continuously top it because surprisingly, that engine ran through oil. I don't know if it's because we were running it at full throttle or what, but she liked to run through oil. We definitely did have to pump that ball in the primer quite a few times before getting her to start, in addition to revving the engine, but eventually we found a way that worked and we stuck to that routine. I will mention there were quite a few times when we had tried everything and we just had to call our dad and say, hey, she won't start. And of course, the minute he came down on the dock, she started perfectly fine, so I guess it's just a father's touch. Looking back, Sophia, what was the most challenging part of getting the boat ready to take out for the first time, for that first moment?
The winch. And this is not something that was just for the first time of taking the boat out. It was for every single time that we took the boat out. That winch gave us so much trouble. For context, we kept the boat on a jet ski dock. It was a small 13-foot super sport. It could fit. I know it's not something you're exactly allowed to do, but it fit.
I wish that we had videos of when you were running that thing up on the jet ski dock because, as I'm sure many of you imagine, jet skis have to be ran up onto a jet ski dock. Now imagine this with a 13-foot boat. We have tried so many different ways. This is actually such a funny story. I wish we had this video still. It was always such an interesting moment when Sophia would just full throttle and try to hammer that onto the jet ski dock. There have been times we completely missed it, we overshot it, we undershot it. There's everything that could have gone wrong definitely went wrong. Eventually, we obviously learned which way worked. We hooked on the winch and then I got out, I helped her up there, but I did almost get run over a few times. Just an honorable mention there.
That is a very honest answer. I did almost run you over. I think I actually did run you over one time. For context, again, I usually line the boat up to the jet ski dock and had Ariana get off of the bow and stand on the dock. And there have been a couple of times where I did overshoot it and pretty much landed about half an inch away from her.
No, I was landed on top of it pretty much, guys.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but it's fine. We're being honest. It's totally fine. You're right. And in my defense, we
Yeah.
had a half broken winch that stayed half broken at all times. That thing was not easy. We tried for the first probably 15 times of taking the boat out. We would line the boat up and do the winch ourselves for the entirety of bringing the boat onto that dock. It got tiring.
Oh, I honestly forgot that we even did that because I totally forgot. I just remember you running it up there and, almost killing me every time. I totally forgot that we actually did it correctly a couple times. Nice to hear that.
As I'm sure you know, near-death experiences will definitely stay close to the heart. When we did do that, it took both of us working that winch up to get the boat up. That thing was not easy. It was rusted, it was broken, it was sideways for some reason. I don't even know how, but for some reason it was not easy.
Don't even bring up the sideways winch. But yes, that boat was so much heavier than anyone can imagine. We had both of us using our whole body weight, and at times that winch was old, it was rusty, we could not get it up, and then you had to line it up perfectly because if it overlapped even a little bit, the whole thing wouldn't work and you'd have to redo the entire thing.
Actually, speaking of that, I'm happy you brought that up because, as many of you know, the Super Sport is not a monohull. It's not a catamaran, but it has those triple bunks, and our jet ski dock didn't. It had one for the jet ski, so we had to run it up because of our crooked winch sideways a little bit, which took a lot of learning. It was not easy. One time trying to get that boat in our version of even on the dock, which, like I said, we couldn't do it exactly in the middle because the dock was built for a jet ski. One time I did run the boat up too far, way too far, got the prop stuck halfway up the dock. The prop was in the dock. We cut the dock in half in that area. Had to call our dad. He came out, pushed the boat off the side of the dock. I don't know. He's the Hulk. I don't know how he did it. Don't ask me. He was actually with friends at that moment, but we called and he came to the rescue in negative 2 seconds. He was at the dock before I could even end the call. Being the amazing dad that he is, he came to the rescue and solved our problem.
I just want to give him a special shout out because he's just never mad at this point, especially the point we had the mini blue top. He's just never surprised. He came down, he was like, okay, this is the next thing. And then he pushed the boat off. Meanwhile, before that, we had both tried with all of our strength and might to push that thing off, and it didn't work. Honorable mention to the amazing Blue Top Dad, because we could not do this without him.
We tried for probably 2 hours to push that thing off because we didn't want him to be mad at us. I don't even know why we would think that he would be mad at us. He has never been mad at us once. It's also important to note that we did continue to run the boat up every single time after that, even after he told us not to. But as we've established, we don't like listening when we are told no. Ariana, how did working on that boat together help us develop the teamwork that we now use in Blue Top basically every day that we take that boat out?
Well, just like we are now, we were both good at different aspects. We always work together to get things done efficiently. You love waxing the boat. I particularly prefer to scrub the boat. That makes a nice team because someone, no matter what you say, always has their preference for that. You either like scrubbing it or you like waxing it, or at least prefer one better. So when we did that, we obviously both worked together to scrub it. We both worked together to wax it. But in times that we were a little shorter on time, I would scrub it, then Sophia would come down, she would wax it, we got that done. In terms of repairing the boat, I love the physical repairs. I love the fiberglass, the rewiring, whatever it might be. But Sophia actually really liked engine repairs. She always dealt with the oil replacement. When the engine failed, she would be the one back there taking the top off, figuring out what was wrong. But again, we both loved every aspect. We were just each better at one. And that definitely stands out in what we do today because right now, Sophia has the technical experience of boats and I have the technical experience with social media. So we bring those differing skills together to elevate Blue Top as a brand and each of our branched companies. While we both like separate things, we use our unique skills to come together and get things done efficiently and effectively.
I'm glad that you brought that up because social media is definitely not my thing, and I think we've established through basically all of our Blue Top branches, you are way better at social media. A lot of people think that social media is pretty easy. All you have to do is post a couple times a week and comment. That's actually the furthest thing from the truth that you could possibly get. I asked Ariana when I should post, what time, what days, to what platforms, who to tag, what location to tag, if I should post on my story, if I should go and comment on other companies' posts. And she has told me the answer to every single one of those questions. Every day that I ask them, without fail, she never gets mad. And she has allowed me to grow Blue Top Yachting. Without her, it would not, number one, be existing because she made me make it. And number two, I would not have grown it. It's still small, but it has become noticeably larger. I've been getting noticeably more impressions. Analytics are actually coming in now, and I can use that and send it to my clients and truly say, listen, your boat got hundreds of thousands of eyes this week just from one post on our social media. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep getting content. Without Ariana, without her social media knowledge, Blue Top Yachting and Blue Top Legend would not be what it is today.
Exactly. Those differing skill sets are so important and they truly have elevated our brand. It definitely came in handy when the boat broke down in the intercoastal and inlet. In the intercoastal, when the engine quit, we used what we learned from our dad. We shut off the engine, we revved the engine to warm her up, checked the oil, checked the wiring, along with basically trying everything we could think of. And eventually, both of us trying different things all over the boat, we got the boat up and running again. But when the engine quit in the ocean, luckily Coast Guard was there. We got lucky. If that weren't the case, we both immediately knew what to do. I would have tossed the anchor, Sophia would have hopped back by the engine to check what was going on there. So in times of desperation, it definitely helps to have differing skill sets, but also when it comes to elevating a brand, it definitely comes in handy.
I think that you gave me credit there, that I would know what I would do in that situation, because it did happen and I didn't know what to do in that situation. I fully panicked. And she said, Sophia, you need to calm down. This is what we need to do. I was panicking on the verge of tears, and she told me, call the Coast Guard, call towboat. And then ironically, we saw them. They were right there. I did call them, but they had already had a boat out there. We got very lucky in that moment. I didn't know what I would do in this situation. When we got home, our dad told us the first thing you should do is throw an anchor. We were panicked. We were little kids. We didn't know what to do. I'm sure we would have established to throw the anchor. There were ginormous whitecaps. We had no idea what was going on. That really rattled us.
It was scary for sure, but I'm glad that it worked out the way it did. We did get very lucky with Coast Guard there. But like you said, I'm sure that we would have figured something out, even if it was just tossing the anchor until the Coast Guard could come. Now, what was a specific repair or upgrade that you're most proud of from the early days of Blue Top?
We continued to repair fiberglass probably until the end of time. I get it, okay? I get it. We like to break our boat, so it's kind of necessary that we need to know how to repair the fiberglass. Now, we do have International Marine on our side, and they do have a fiberglass guy there who I absolutely adore. He is so incredible. He has basically saved the new Blue Top because we have put a large fiberglass crack down the center of the hull again, and he fixed it.
At this point, I feel like International has basically completely redone and replaced boats.
And fiberglass is not easy. Number one, it hurts. If you've ever done fiberglass, you know, if you get that substance on your skin, it burns. It is not pleasant. It's not easy to do the fiberglass. On the original Blue Top, that 6-foot fiberglass crack that we put down the center of the hull, we couldn't fix that. We genuinely could not fix that. It's not something that we could marine text back in. We tried. Every time we took the boat back on the water, we would see water seeping in from the bottom of the floorboard, and that boat was a dual console. We would look around those two consoles, and I would be driving, dancing, and Ariana would say, "Sophia, are we sinking?" And I would go, "No, we're in a whaler. We're not sinking." Well, I don't know what was happening, but water was coming in. I don't think we were sinking. It was a scary experience. We were out in the intercoastal, probably a good hour from home. Luckily, we were in a whaler. I don't know what would have happened if we were in any other boat. We had to outsource that fiberglass crack because clearly when we fixed it, it didn't work. But now we know how to fix little fiberglass cracks, little spider cracks. It is not easy, but so worth it and such a great learning experience.
And water did start coming into the boat. I would like to mention we did not let it just sink our boat. We did have a pump, which we both were working on at the same time in the back and in the middle of the boat to get the water out. Luckily, it wasn't pouring in, because obviously it was a slit down the middle. It wasn't a massive fiberglass crack. We would not have taken it out if we kept seeing water coming in. But obviously, it being at the bottom of the hull, we weren't necessarily aware that there was a crack. So it would be little amounts of water coming in, but eventually, an hour from home, water did start coming in. We did have to start pumping it out, which was a scary experience. Again, it's all a learning experience, so I ended up working out. We ended up actually establishing that there was a crack and outsourcing that because it was a massive, very difficult crack to fix.
Like you said, we didn't know that there was a crack. We actually found it when we put the boat back on the jet ski docks. Great surprise to our eyes because, again, we knew that we would have to tell our dad, and we were worried that he would be mad, but he was not mad because he never is. This boat has taught us such an incredible amount. Patience pretty much being the main one. It wasn't just the start of Blue Top, it was the start of so many lessons and so many memories that we will cherish in our hearts forever and we will never ever forget.
Thank you guys for reliving those moments with us. We can't wait to continue sharing our story with you. That's it for this episode of the Blue Top Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We loved having you on board.
Make sure to follow us on social media for more behind the scenes moments and updates from Blue Top Legend and Blue Top Yachting. And remember, we're all about navigating excellence and anchoring trust.
Don't forget to keep that throttle pinned.
And as always, don't touch my throttle. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.